hard shell tacos.
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 Holy shit. Did you think you would see the hard shell tacos back up in your feed? Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. If you were the one of the few holding out hope, hell of a fighter. Take my hat off to you. I'm joined by homegirl Shanada. You may or may not have heard her on the other Lux Media family shows. Shanada, thank you for joining me.
Anytime. Always fun talking to you.
So, the way that we usually start this is, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? And given how long it's been for hard shell tacos, I'll give, I guess, some major updates of my own first. It's however much or little you're comfortable sharing. Major updates. I don't feel like they're all that major. Maybe I'm not seeing the significance of them, but what comes to mind is I've had some interviews about Lux Media in the last few months, so that's been really exciting.
That is exciting. What kind of interviews?
One of them, one was a small business journal kind of magazine, and so they wanted to talk to me about like the creative process and how do you decide what is usable content, or what's your inspiration for finding content for one of your shows. And that was that one. And I had a few that were boxing and MMA related.
Excellent. You should plug the magazine though, Leo, so people can go find your interview.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Canvas Rebel is what it's called. I'm really good at this. I actually mention my previous have you done this creative thing for another group for someone besides yourself? And I said yes. Yeah. That's how I started. And then maybe egos got in the way a little bit, and I decided I was gonna start doing my own thing, and I haven't looked back since. And then one of the lessons that you have that has taken you a lot to unlearn, for me, it was that it's okay to be ambitious. You don't have to live in the designs that everybody tries to put around you. You design the world around you for yourself. Take, for example, somebody telling me that my work sucks, that my products are garbage. Okay. All you've done is create yourself an enemy. That's all you've done. So
yeah,
I will persist until I see you fail. And that's very petty, not a very emotionally mature thing to do.
This is a hard topic change, and maybe not that related, but it always makes me think of Plato and, is it Dionysus?
Yes.
The Greek philosophers, where Plato's the one that everybody thinks of as being great and stuff, and is it Dionysus or Diogenesis? Anyways, whoever the other guy is, made it his fucking life mission to just make Plato look stupid. So Plato said a man is a featherless biped, and this guy ran in with a plucked chicken and threw it on the floor and was like, "Behold, a man."
Plotinus? Aristotle? No, those are comrades, rivals. It's not listed.
I think it's Diogen.
Democritus?
No. Fuck. Why am I so bad at names all the time? Greek philosopher that lived in a...
Aristophanes?
No, it definitely starts with a G. That lived in a barrel, because he lived in a barrel on the street. Diogenes.
Nice.
Yeah. Look him up. Fucking hilarious.
That is actually really funny.
He lived his life on spite. and he is great. He is one of the founders of cynicism, and he is known for just being a bit crazy, and he made it his life's purpose to disprove everything Plato ever said. Plato, however you say the guy's name correctly. And he also lived on the street in a barrel, because why not?
Sounds like he was missing. There's a screw or two that was missing from there.
Probably, but I highly recommend everybody look into him.
That's pretty fun. Last bit for my intro. How am I feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? Right now, I'd say a 3. For the most part, surface level things are going well, but on the back end, not so much. Like on the deeper side of things, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Do you want to give up? You don't have to give updates necessarily, but
yeah, I guess we talked about it before we hit record, but I'm living in Japan. I'm originally from Canada, because I assume a lot of people don't cross over with B-sides. And I have to decide if I want to stay for another year or not. And my dad's had some health problems, so that's the big, not controversy, but thing I have to think about right now, is living so far from home. I do have a brother that lives very near my parents, so they're taken care of whether I'm there or not, but they're getting to the age where I feel like I should probably be closer in case of emergencies, I guess.
Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah, but I don't know. Also, I mean, Canada's really big. I work in a field where I can't live too close to home anyways. Any real emergency, and it's going to be a day before I get home anyways. So
wouldn't be that much different from Japan?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to calculate. So there's one university I could work at that's close, and then the other universities are at least 10 hours away anyways.
Eek.
So from Japan, it's probably closer to 20 hours. At one point, I'd have to stop and rent a car, which will take some time. Although at the airports, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
But we'll say like 17 to 20 hours, depending. So is that much of a difference? Is the question. Like,
yeah.
If something happens, I'm not going to get there quickly anyways. And most of the universities would be airplane rides away anyway. There's really only one university that's within driving distance. Calgary's about 7 hours. Winnipeg's about 10. So
it's also freezing shit in Winnipeg, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna live in Winnipeg unless they pay me a lot of money.
The underground
Winnipeg's
stab
terrible.
mall? Is that where it was at?
Yeah, well, there's lots of those, actually. I really liked my university. I did my undergrad at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon. And Saskatoon as a city has gotten much safer. But when I was there in the early 2000s, they had to close the tunnels. They built tunnels so you didn't have to go outside at -40. They had to close a couple of them because people were getting robbed and raped and stuff in them. So, yeah, I lived in a dorm and one of the security guards got stabbed. So they had bulletproof vests, but they didn't have knife-proof vests.
Stab vests, yeah.
Yeah, so that was just somebody on drugs that wandered onto campus. It wasn't one of the students, but
still
the funniest was there was a gun scare. Somebody said that somebody had a rifle and they sent out all these warnings and stuff. It was somebody who put their bicycle seat in their backpack, and the pipe part of the seat
was sticking out.
Yeah, is what it turned out to be.
Man, that sounds lovely. Because here, when you hear gun scare, it's just like, how many people are dead now? Jesus fucking Christ, how many are dead this time?
I mean, I like guns. I own guns. I shoot guns. They're fun. But Canada has really strict handgun laws. So most of our gun issues are rifles and shotguns, which is much harder to carry into a university campus.
Yeah, concealed carries are a lot more difficult to come by.
Yeah,
Without like a trench coat and giant baggy pants, something that's going to give you away right away.
yeah, and we got laws on magazine size, so you can't have anything that holds more than 5 shells. Which that is entirely designed to stop the mass shootings, because if you have to reload, it gives people time.
Yeah, to hide or something.
Yeah, and if you can't kill a deer in 5 shots, you should not be shooting.
That's what I was thinking. Actually, I have a rifle that holds 4, 3 in the mag and 1 in the chamber. So 3 plus 1, and like if I was thinking about it, and I was talking to some friends one time about it, and they're like, "How many magazines do you have?" These are all military people, so for you may not make as much sense, but I was in the Marine Corps. One friend was in the Marine Corps. The other one was in the Army. So the Army, it sounds like a I don't know, mainstream Army versus Marine Corps joke, but he says, "How many mags do you have?" I'm like, 2, I think, probably 2. And he's like, "What the fuck? You need to have more than 2 magazines for your rifle." I'm like, "Dude, this is a 6.5 Creedmoor. If I can't handle it in 4 shots, I should sell it to someone. I shouldn't be owning this."
Yeah. The only time it's a huge pain in the ass, and I will admit that I do have an illegal magazine that I use, is gopher hunting. We hunt gophers with 22s, and reloading every 5 shots.
Oh, hell no.
Annoying as hell. Yeah.
Hell no.
And full automatics are illegal too in Canada. So. Well, they're not. I say illegal. You need special permits.
Difficult to get.
Yeah, like I do have friends who own handguns. It's just another course and another permit, and there's more strict rules about the handguns. The friends I had left their handguns at the shooting ranges usually. They were locked up at the shooting range because you need, they had permission to keep them at their house, but you need to have extra safety stuff around them. And their way of not having to deal with that was to just store them at their gun club.
Yeah, get a share box or whatever.
Yeah, the gun club provided it for free.
Oh, nice.
It's just locked up there instead of in their house.
Mine's within hand's reach of me right now.
Yeah. I know the American thought process is a little different when it comes to guns, but
it's not the idea of like just well, if someone kicks into my fucking house or something, like no, nobody's gonna fucking do that. I live out in the suburbs. This isn't like Detroit in the 90s or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I like Canada's gun laws, the way they're actually enforced right now, but I guess that's probably a hot button issue on American stuff.
Yeah, that's we have the politics show for that one, which
yeah,
that's it is a hot button issue, and it's weird when you're like I am a
normal person,
right? I'm like an advocate. Like, yeah, it's cool. People should be able to have some stuff, but at the same time, like Canada is not some backwards oligarchy like us now. Like, people have guns and it's fine, and there's limitations on what you can have because there's limits to what you need as a regular person, right?
Yeah, we did have a mass shooting recently, but our injury numbers are always way lower. The gun was bought in America.
No, yeah, a lot of the cartel violence is guns supplied from the U.S.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. It's really easy in Arizona, where I live, to buy them. Like,
we bought guns in the States and brought them across. It's really just filling out a form and paying the taxes. It's not hard.
The taxes for me are included in the price already, so.
Yeah, when you bring them across to Canada, you have to pay import tax. Yeah.
But that's, I think, enough gun chatter.
Guns.
Yeah. So 1 to 5. How are you feeling right
1
now?
to 5. That's a hard one. Pretty good, I guess. But man, it's hard to make friends in Japan.
Yeah, it is.
Japan's like baseline good for me, I think, is probably about 2.5.
Ouch.
It's not terrible, but like, it's just work and doing things by yourself, which is fine sometimes. But after my brother was here, we went on a 1 month trip around Japan. It's so much more fun when you have a friend to hang out with.
Yeah.
So, but.
That actually, I think, factors into the first question of the card games that I have, which is how are you really? It's difficult to make friends in Japan?
Yeah, I guess for that one, like, not to sound too depressing or anything, or depressed, because I don't think I am, but like a little lonely, probably. That's why I hang out online so much. That's why I made friends on Discord.
Yeah, the loneliness it's an epidemic, I think, that's happening everywhere, which is weird that everybody knows it and most people are feeling it, and yet like we don't take the very simple step of correcting it.
Yeah, and like I think Japanese culture embraces it more than most. Like everything here is designed for you to do by yourself. I'd say half the seating in most restaurants is single seats. Not if you go to like a nice one, but just eat
Standard
fast food.
Yeah.
Fast food for sure. Almost all the seats are single seats. That's semi-fast food where they cook it there, but like it doesn't take very long. That's almost all single seats, and it's not until you get to like Boston Pizza equivalent. Oh, America doesn't have Boston Pizza, but like that family restaurant equivalent.
Yeah.
Family restaurants here have, I'd say 25% of the seating is for single people.
I did not know it was that much.
At least in Chiba City, it is. Like, everything is designed for you to go alone. Because everybody does. Because nobody here has friends, as far as I can tell. Like, it's not just me being foreign in Japan. The Japanese students also complain about not having any friends and not meeting people because they're from a different city and they moved here for school. And I'm like, just talk to people.
Yeah, you're in class. You are forced to be together. You can
Yeah.
just fucking talk to each other.
Like, the people that work together in my lab do not go out for drinks or anything, which is so weird to me. Like, Canadian work culture, even if you don't particularly like people, you go out for drinks maybe once a month just because you do. Maybe not if you're working like a shitty fast food job or something, but at the university.
Yeah, when I worked in like higher end enterprise level IT environments, that was a similar thing there. Was but it wasn't once a month. It was maybe once every 4 to 6 months. And that
Right.
And we were the ones that did it a lot more than everyone else.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm just used to university lab dynamics then. Because it's all a bunch of people in their 20s usually, right?
Yeah.
It's master students and PhD students.
The types who would want to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. And everybody's about the same age, so.
Oh, I forgot a major update. I applied for this this school. It's an online one, but it's for like arts and art creation. So it kind of taking my podcasting game to the next level.
Nice.
Gonna learn some professional techniques on mastering audio.
Nice.
Yeah. What title would you give this chapter of your life? Now, this one is tricky because the last time I wanted to reuse the same name, but it can't be the same thing. Because the last time I did this, it was Becoming Ungovernable. Have you ever seen those like geese with a switchblade in their mouths or something?
Yeah. From Untitled Goose Game.
Yep. So I don't know what the continuation of that would be.
Being ungovernable.
I'll think of something, but it's gonna be great.
I don't know. Mine would have to be like Shanada's anime arc or something.
Anime and boxing.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna miss going to live boxing so much when I move. I have been so spoiled.
Yeah, you've had a lot of good ones.
Yeah. A lot of world title fights. I think I might have hit 20 with this last one.
There were 3 titles on it.
There were 3 titles on this last card. That weekend doubleheader thing, I think, had 7. There was 3 on one night and 4 on another.
Wow.
That's 10 right there.
You can't forget the honor, the absolute privilege that it is to witness greatness developing before you.
Fuck off.
What from your youth was not just a phase? For me, no, you go first on this one if you got one.
Yeah, I got one. So everybody always thinks kids wanting, like when they pick their job really early, well, they'll switch out. It's just a phase. I always wanted to be a biologist. I kind of switched the major of it because when I was younger, I wanted to be an ecologist. But, that's something that maybe nobody else cares about. But my name is on a paper naming a species of clam in the Atlantic Ocean. And that was something I always wanted to do as a kid, was name a new species.
So what did you name it?
I don't even remember. My boss picked the name.
All right, well.
I think it's Thyasira Parsi or something. But still counts. We had a cool name picked out that was based off the native language in the area, and, well, not in the area, but a native language from the area, and they didn't approve that one. So.
Oh.
Yeah, well, not because it was native, but they didn't. You have to explain why you chose that name and give the explanation of what it actually means. And they just didn't like our explanation of why, so they went with the Latin one instead.
Thyasira. I don't know what CF is. Goldie.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Goldie's actually an old name.
Ah.
So, yeah.
Thought I found it.
No, CF means we think it's the same thing as something that was described 100 years ago, but we can't be sure. Because it's just shell shapes, mostly. Well, because that's all we have left, right, is the shells. Sometimes there's a preserved soft body, but they usually just kind of look like brown mush. But yeah, that's my wanting to be a scientist was not just a phase, Mom.
Yeah.
They wanted me to be a medical doctor or a veterinarian. Not for me.
Man, I was thinking, just before you got into it, because you said you always wanted to be a biologist, and then you said but you changed the major from something else. There was a point in time where every single girl on the planet wanted to be a marine biologist. Do you remember that point in time when just everybody wanted to be one?
Yeah. That's actually what I ended up being for a little while.
So at least you went through with it. So
yeah.
Not just a phase. A lot of stuff. I get fixations on things, so I take them to some pretty deep extremes. One in particular, I got into computers when I was maybe like 9 or 10, and never had any support from anyone because it was just a phase. I always pick stuff up and I always put it down.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, here I am later, living life as an IT whiz. So computers, not just a phase. Joining the military was one that I had for a while that my mother assumed was gonna just phase itself out of my life.
I don't understand how that would even work once you're kind of in it.
It was before I joined.
Oh, okay.
She thought I would like lose interest in it, but kept that going and been, I don't know, pretty happy. Been pretty happy with that decision. It's worked out pretty well for me. Listening to metal is not just a phase.
Luckily for me, emo music was just a phase.
Emo music is still going strong.
Yeah, but for me, it was just a phase.
Did you do the hair one piece?
No,
in the face?
I didn't do any of the style stuff. I have dressed the exact same since I was 5. Blue jeans and a t-shirt, long hair, and a baseball cap. I cut my hair short once. It was terrible. I fucking hated it.
Then why'd you do it? Thought it would be easier?
Everybody always told me that I was getting, not always, but people started telling me I was getting too old for long hair. And somebody asked me if I would be their model for a hair style competition, like where they take somebody and give them a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So I have long brown hair, pretty generic. They cut it not crazy short, but like the shortest I've ever had. It wasn't a pixie cut, but it was short hair, and dyed it bright red. And that was whatever. I didn't really care, but I hated having short hair because if you wear a baseball cap, I have fine hair. It flattened and just looked terrible, and I like ball caps. So it just didn't suit my lifestyle, I guess. And it takes forever to grow out. It took like 2 years to grow out. And I never dye my hair because it takes so long. So then you got to try. Everybody's like, oh, you need to try and match your roots. And I was like, just give it 2 years and it'll all be the same color again. I'm not too worried about it.
I'm not sure which one of these. You pick which one. Which one next of these?
I do not have an answer for either of the next two. I guess what's the best compliment a stranger has ever given you?
Oh, shit.
I never remember compliments, to be honest.
Yeah.
Compliments just kind of disappear.
For some reason, that doesn't surprise me.
Okay, this one's pretty generic, but like, I have a PhD, I'm pretty educated and all that stuff, but I get along better with working class people, I guess. I don't know how to phrase that properly, but like, I find people in universities hard to get along with outside of work. They're just not the type of people I have fun with. So when I moved, I ended up meeting a bunch of guys working oil rigs and stuff and hanging out with them when I moved out to Newfoundland. And the one guy goes, you know, you're a lot more fun than I thought you would be. And I was like, excellent.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. And on that same vein, I guess I have a funny story. So for prom, I didn't wear a dress. I wore a pantsuit, but it was like baby blue. And I had my hair done up like girls are supposed to and all that stuff. And one of my friends got pretty drunk before prom. And he walks up and he goes, you know, I thought you were going to look like shit in a suit, but you actually look pretty cute. And I was like, thanks, Colin. Great.
You hear that, Colin? It's much, much appreciated.
Yeah. I thought you'd look like shit in a suit.
What a Casanova.
Yeah.
Best compliment a stranger's ever given me? I get a lot of compliments for my eyelashes.
Nice. My brother has nice eyelashes too, and when he was a kid, somebody made fun of him that they were girly, so he trimmed them off with like toenail scissors.
Oh, that's the thing people are doing now because people think the alpha male type of people think it's gay to have eyelashes or something.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So stupid. Fellas, is it gay to have hair in the same spot as virtually every other human being on Earth?
It's gay if they're long and dark and luxurious.
Yeah. Woe is me. The number of especially when the emo stuff started coming around, I didn't put this one together. But it was about that time that girls would always ask me how much mascara I was using. They would always fucking ask me. And sometimes there would be guys like, do you wear mascara? Like, how do you even know what that is? We're fucking like 12. You're not.
Well, it's My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's like your fucking musical heroes and put the shit on themselves. And
when I put on mascara, I have light colored eyelashes. They're pretty light brown. When I put on mascara, everybody assumes they're fake eyelashes because I usually just wear black mascara. And somebody asked me what kind of glue I used, and I'd never used fake eyelashes. And I had no idea what the hell they were talking about. I was like, why would you put glue on your eyes? What is going on?
It's not just the face. These are just my eyelashes.
Yeah. I hate wearing mascara because they rub against my glasses and they leave black streaks.
I don't know if I've ever gotten I've gotten compliments for my smile, my eyes, my eyelashes. One time for my eyebrows.
These are the girliest compliments I've ever heard, Leo.
That's about all I got. Like, I can't think of anything else. I'm usually the one doing the complimenting.
Yeah, I like giving compliments. I get compliments on my clothes sometimes, but those aren't really compliments to me. I guess they are.
An experience you would want to relive over and over again. Depends on what the purpose would be. It would it depends, like, am I trying to correct something? If that's the case, I have a few
that didn't even remotely cross my mind, is what this question is asking.
Are you thinking like blissful moments where you're just...
Yeah, well, I assume you couldn't change anything. You're just reliving it.
Oh, if you're just reliving it, it would be that time I was shooting the machine gun out of a helicopter. That sounds awesome. Coolest thing I've ever done. I will never be that cool ever again in my life.
I don't know for this one. Yeah, I don't. High school parties, maybe? Like one where I actually had fun, like a field party with a bonfire.
That does sound pretty cool.
Just not have to worry about anything.
Yeah. That would be a pretty nice feeling. Let me do one of these. Support for the show can be you. Go to patreon.lux.b and sign up there to get access to ad-free shows and a lot of other behind-the-scenes goodies. Lux Media just relaunched the merch shop, and there's a lot of new stuff going up all the time. Shop.lvx.be and get yourself hooked up. Patreon subscribers, that's patreon.lvx.be, get 20% off codes every single month. So it's ad-free and it's discounts. I don't know what else more you want. That is the delineation. If you don't like ads, you should go check us out on Patreon. So that's what that I cut in there was. Who
okay.
knows what they are. But so you mentioned you're a biologist.
Yes.
Dr. Shanada, if you will.
Yes.
So you had this thing on how gut health affects mental health.
Yeah, so I do want to preface for anyone listening, I do not study behavior in anything. But I do study the gut microbiome, which is all the microscopic things that live in your intestines. And I study how that interacts with the host. So right now, what I study is how it affects the immune system and the immune response, because your body samples those bacteria and trains your immune system of what should be there so that when something that shouldn't be there appears, they can fight it. But it also just kind of trains them to, you have to keep those bacteria in check too. Like you can get infections from bacteria that have always lived in your body if you become weak from, say, chemotherapy or something. So it's like a training grounds for your immune system. But a lot of other people do study how it can affect your brain and your mental health and your behavior and all these other things. So when you asked me to come on the podcast, I did a little bit of reading about more specifically behavior things than I have before.
Oof. So is this like, I don't want to say as simple as, but when you think about the types of probiotic shit that's, I don't know if it's all the rage right now, but I know that it's like in the more crunchy type of circles.
So yeah, that's exactly what it is. There's kind of 3 types of things that people are using to correct and selling for you to correct your microbiome. So probiotics are by far the most famous. They are living organisms that generally you eat or take orally. So the most famous ones are lactobacillus in yogurt and that sort of thing. So you can eat foods that have probiotics naturally. But there's also companies now that sell pills that are just a bunch of alive bacteria that you take. The issue with developing a probiotic is you have to be very careful of what it actually is in there, because E. coli can cause disease, but there's also probiotic E. coli's. And you don't want to be, putting the wrong strains in. But the other issue is if you take it orally, it has to survive going through your stomach. And there's been tons of research done on whether they actually survive the acid of your stomach. And then can they outcompete the bacteria that are already there and become, make themselves part of the community. So your microbiome is a very, very complex ecosystem of mostly bacteria, but also funguses. There are good funguses in there as well. There's been almost no research done on the protists, so like single cell animals that live in your intestine, because it's very hard to study them the way we study other things because they're too similar to us.
I had that confused with the prions, when the shit in your brain doesn't develop correctly.
Prions are misfolded proteins.
Yes.
Yeah. And now they're actually doing a lot of studies on the viruses that live in your intestine, because there's viruses that only infect bacteria and they can change the community. So as a way to fight antibiotic resistance, especially in agriculture, not in humans yet that I know of, they're looking at designing viruses to attack the antibiotic resistant bacteria. And the viruses will never wipe them out completely, because viruses can only replicate in living cells. So when the population gets too low, the virus dies, but they can really reduce the population of harmful bacteria.
Would it be possible for the harmful bacteria to die off, I guess, naturally after that?
Yeah, so you could kind of think of it like, I guess, the wolf and deer problem. Viruses would be the wolves, deer are the harmful bacteria. So if you have a real overpopulation and no wolves, the bacteria is causing disease and overpopulated. But if you put these viruses in, they can bring the population down, but they'll never kill them all, because when the bacteria gets really low, they run out of food.
Yeah.
It's not really food, but maybe then your natural immune system can keep it in check because the population is low. And you've probably recovered from your illness a little bit.
Sickness you were having.
Yeah. So there's lots of cool things. And then, so other than probiotics, there's prebiotics, where you eat nutrients that the good bacteria use. So it gives the good bacteria a competitive advantage against the bad bacteria, because they quite often use different nutrients.
I see.
So one that's really common is fiber, complex fibers. So starch is a very simple fiber that us as animals digest ourselves mostly, but you get complex fibers like what you find in green vegetables like spinach and broccoli and that sort of thing, or in whole grains.
Yeah, whole grains is what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's the more famous fiber, but that our body doesn't actually digest. So it gets digested by the bacteria in your large intestine. And those bacteria turn it into things that are beneficial to us, like short-chain fatty acids. So that's something that improves the health of your intestine, and it's also harmful to pathogenic bacteria, usually. Short-chain fatty acids feed your intestine and improve its ability to block pathogens, but it also creates a slightly acidic environment that kills off things like C. difficile is one that causes disease a lot, or harmful E. coli, or that sort of thing.
Damn. Is this where the pre-meal salad idea comes from? Is to...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of.
Or is that just like an old-timey etiquette thing?
So there are some people, some scientists, that believe the order you eat things in is important, and other people say it all sits in your stomach so long it doesn't matter, right? Because
That's
like
kind of what my mind is.
Yeah. But the idea that having leafy vegetables is important for your health, for sure, is part of it. So the groups of bacteria are called fermenters, which most people know that sort of idea. So they take complex sugars and break the bonds between the molecules that we can't break, and they produce gas and something else. So short chain fatty acids, or if it's a yeast, which is not a bacteria, but it's a single-celled animal, really. Creates alcohol. Yeah, yeast are eukaryotes. So bacteria are prokaryotes, and everything else is eukaryotes. Yeast are eukaryotes.
Oh shit.
They're a type of fungus.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask, because that's what I thought they were.
Yeah. So, they create alcohol, like we all know.
Man, could throw the old, we're more closely genetically related to mushroom than to some other shit.
Plants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or some other animals.
And then people are looking at developing, they call them postbiotics, where they take either something that the bacteria are creating, like those short chain fatty acids, or they just kill the bacteria, and you ingest that, and it will theoretically give you health benefits associated with those bacteria without the potential of them harming anything. So one of the problems with living bacteria as a business model is what happens if there's a random mutation that makes them harmful, and you're accidentally selling people that, Or what if they colonize inside the person and live there and then mutate and change? Is the company responsible for that?
Oh, well, that
So
wouldn't that be how
lots
like
of
each
companies,
of the? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
lots of companies are moving away from selling living things to selling either these pre or postbiotics to avoid the potential legal issues.
How would it like it? Wouldn't it be how each person metabolizes these things, or is the bacteria
Well,
going to always behave the same way?
no. So that's the other thing. It will depend on your genetics, but also what you eat, whether those bacteria will colonize you or not. And like I said, I usually work with agriculture, so they also worry about like if they sell a probiotic for birds and that becomes in the barn and then mutates in the barn environment afterwards, could the company be sued for selling something harmful, even though the actual product isn't, but it became harmful 2 years later, type thing? Like the kind of like Monsanto with their seeds,
Yeah.
right? Like how long are you responsible for your product and how many generations type thing? So a lot of companies are moving away from that to avoid potential lawsuits because there aren't really laws regarding that.
I know Monsanto for growable food, they try to patent specific species that they modify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of their big things is they made the Roundup Ready seeds, is what they call them. So Roundup is a herbicide that kills everything, or almost everything. Like it's a really powerful one, but it generally would kill your crops as well. So they made crops that could survive that.
Oh, fuck.
So you don't have to buy a broadleaf and a grass type weed killer, right? Like there's kind of the two types. So if your canola's the famous one in Canada, if your canola can survive Roundup, you buy one type of herbicide, and Roundup's actually pretty cheap as well, and you don't damage your crop. But the problem that they had was it doesn't matter how well you harvest, you're going to drop some seeds, and you get what they call volunteer crops. How do you kill the volunteer Roundup Ready crop? It's immune to what you usually use to kill volunteer crops. So then farmers who didn't plant these things were getting them as weeds in neighboring fields and things like that, which led to some lawsuits. And my family never used that, and I never really followed the lawsuits, but I know it was a big controversy. There's lots of other controversies with Monsanto as well. They also sell seeds that only grow once, like they don't produce fertile seeds, and they were selling them in developing countries and fucking over the farmers because my family does this too. It's not just developing countries. You keep some of your harvest to plant the next year.
Yeah, of course.
But Monsanto was selling them seeds that
only grow
you
one
can't
time.
do that.
Oh.
And they didn't know. And in developing countries, that's a much bigger issue because, of course, they couldn't afford to buy seed every year. So.
Well, this has all been good. No, this has been a good foundation. How does this affect the brain?
Okay, so there's a couple different ways that what happens in your intestine can affect your brain. So one of the ways is if you have an unhealthy microbiome or your microbiome becomes unhealthy, it can affect your intestine is a physical barrier. And the outside layer of cells that is towards the inside of your intestine really, really looks like a brick wall. They're very closely stacked, and they're just squares that are stacked together. And they're physically held together by proteins. But if the bacteria secrete certain chemicals, those proteins can loosen and there's spaces, and you get what we very scientifically call a leaky gut. So those cells are in charge of transporting good things in and keeping bad things out, basically. But if the spaces between them become weak, things can leak between cells, and they don't go through the kind of choosing process. And even if it gets really bad, bacteria can squeeze through and get into your bloodstream. And of course, that's terrible. That's sepsis. And you have a really bad infection. That's usually what kills people when their appendix
I see.
bursts and that sort of thing. But also, those cells get signals from the bacteria, and then they send signals around the body. Most of them are immune cell related, but some of them are also just like hormones, like adrenaline and stuff. So your brain reads all these signals and it's like, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not like when you hurt your hand or something. Your intestine, it's not often pain signals, it's just something's wrong, and it kickstarts your immune system and all this other stuff, and it can lead to chronic inflammation. So everybody's heard of IBS, I assume, or like Crohn's disease. That's when your intestine is sending inflammation signals, swelling signals, like we need the immune system here now attacking things. And eventually that becomes chronic, and it leads to your immune system attacking your own cells even. So.
Goodness.
But yeah. So, and also leaky gut has theoretically, I'm a little on the fence about these results, but they're becoming more and more believable and reproducible. Leaky gut's been linked with worsening autism symptoms in some cases. So not everyone with autism has microbiome problems, but some people with autism, especially the more severe ones, if they get them on a very regimented diet that helps improve their microbiome, they see an improvement in behavioral issues as well. They have less tics and less self-harm, and some of them even become more verbal and things.
Oh, wow.
But of course, this won't work for everybody. And they've also linked chemicals from the intestines leaking into the bloodstream to some symptoms in Alzheimer's. And perhaps that is where the plaques that get on your brain are actually kind of stemming from, is leaky chemicals from your intestine. Also, MS, people have shown some improvements if they get their microbiome all figured out.
So what's the figuring out part?
Well, so there's some groups of bacteria that we think are good, and some groups that we think are kind of more bad. So generally, this is a huge generalization and me trying to make it very easy to understand, but ones that ferment starch and break down, like lactobacillus breaks down milk products a lot, but not everybody can eat milk products. But those ones that are considered more beneficial, they tend to improve that barrier function of your intestine. And then ones that make it worse, like E. coli and chloroforms is the group, they tend to do well on protein. So if you don't have a good balance, I'm not saying protein is bad, but if you're getting most of your nutrition from protein, you're promoting bacteria that live on protein and break down protein really well, and that's what your intestine's made out of, mostly. So you're promoting bacteria that can live off of eating you, basically.
That doesn't sound quite as fun. It makes me wonder about like those fad diets, like ketosis.
Keto, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that one, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, like you just outlined.
The other thing that can kind of do that as well, which I think is maybe linked to depression more than some of the others, is starvation, or not just depression, but also like eating disorders and stuff. If you aren't putting any nutrients in, you're promoting the bacteria that can live off of the nutrients that you're producing. So your intestine is also lined with mucus, and most bacteria can't actually degrade that mucus. And so it creates another physical barrier outside of the actual intestinal skin. It gives another layer of protection. But if you're not putting any nutrients in for healthy bacteria, what's going to grow is the bacteria that can eat that mucus. And they eat the mucus, and then they get down to your intestinal lining, and then they start eating your intestine and breaking down that barrier. So I didn't do a whole bunch of reading on eating disorders, but in mice, if you don't feed them for a couple days, or you don't feed them enough for a few days, they lose a lot of those starch fermenters, and they gain a lot of the protein degraders. And I assume something similar happens in humans. So
it sounds, I can only speak as far as depression goes, but it's like a self-sustaining cycle.
Yeah.
Where you don't want to eat, and so you don't eat, which makes you feel shitty, which makes you not want to eat.
Which the bacteria take advantage of,
right.
The opportunistic pathogens, yeah. So that leads to kind of my other point, because I assume a lot of your audience tends more towards depression than, say, Alzheimer's or
yeah, tends to.
But this is my not a medical doctor opinion. Any food is better than no food, and I know when I feel like shit and I don't want to cook, I just kind of eat the pieces of what I would have cooked, if that makes sense. So, like, if you don't want to make a sandwich, just eat a slice of bread and some deli meat and some lettuce. Like, eating the parts separately counts. It's still good.
It's gonna end up the same way anyway. If you were to put it into a sandwich or not.
And you're still feeding those good bacteria that can, help you.
Yeah, definitely.
And what I've been doing, again, this is just me, but I don't like the milk here. I think it's pasteurized at a different temperature, and it tastes funny to me. I think they pasteurize it at a higher temperature, so it has a longer shelf life, because people don't use much milk here. So it tastes burnt. But I started buying yogurt and just putting like a crunchy granola cereal in it in the morning. And that's my probiotic meal of the day. I just buy the little cups and literally just like stuff some of the cereal in and eat it, and then stuff more cereal in until the yogurt's gone. I don't even use a bowl because I'm lazy as hell.
You should upgrade your 2.5 to a 3 just based on that. That sounds excellent.
It actually is really good.
Yeah, it sounds like this is not nearly as good for you, so take this one with a grain of whatever you'd like. But I used to do that. I used to call it salsa cereal. I would just break up chips and pour them into, the salsa,
I do that
and just spoon it and crush the whole fucking
But
jar.
Actually, that's not that bad for you.
No, I know that salsa has a lot of different vegetables and stuff in it.
Yeah, and the tomato skins are fiber, and I'm assuming you're using corn chips.
Yeah.
Corn is actually pretty high in fiber. It's high in sugar too, but it's pretty high in fiber if you use like real corn. Like popcorn's a good high fiber snack.
Yeah, I've been seeing those around. Like they have this like smart snacking, I think is the label, the brand label.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
just popcorn.
Yeah.
Just buy popcorn seeds and pop them in a pot in your house.
You had this interesting thing here about rice. Working with blood sugar in European people.
So this is because I moved to Japan and most meals have rice as the main kind of starch, and I'm used to potatoes usually, I guess, to sound super Irish, but I constantly was having like sugar crashes. I don't eat very much sugar, not as a health thing. I'm just not a sweet tooth person. Like my go-to snack is chips, not chocolate.
Yeah, same.
And Japan, I find a lot of the snacks are very sugary, actually. It's kind of hard to find things I like. And I did some research, and so, like I said, what you eat reacts differently based on your genes. And they did a study feeding people just like a bowl of white rice and reading their blood sugar after. And Europeans have a sugar spike higher with white rice than they do with ice cream.
What the
Because
hell?
rice is a very easy to digest starch.
Simple carbohydrate?
Yeah. And potatoes are a little harder. They have more complex bonds. So, you know, kind of historically, we have evolved to get the harder to digest potato starch, and rice, we just digest it too fast. We absorb it super fast. But the sugar in ice cream, you have simple sugars, and then you have the milk sugars that are more complex. So that takes longer, right?
Out, yeah.
And it spreads it out. And the Asian populations also spread out their rice digestion somehow, just different enzymes, I guess, different mutations. But the Europeans just like spiked with rice and then went down really quick too. So it was actually like eating chocolate cake. Just straight blood sugar wise, not you know, nutrition and farther health things. But
just thinking on the way that the Europeans do ice cream, like it seems to me that they would have a lot more going on with it than just I guess a simple sugar. Like you said, there's the milk ones, but
ice cream, like if you make it at home, is just sugar and milk.
Unless I'm thinking of gelato or something.
Maybe gelato has other stuff, but like if you make homemade ice cream, it's sugar and milk and shake while it freezes. That's all it is.
Cool.
Yeah, actually, homemade ice cream is fun.
I've had some. There was a place. It used to be near my first job. It was like a few blocks away. If there was a slow day, like once a week, maybe we did this instead of drinking, but we'd go get ice cream, and it was like an old fashioned type of place. Like you could see the shaking pots or whatever that they used to make the base flavors. It was really cool.
You can make ice cream with your home freezer and a Tupperware that closes like tight. That's all you need. There's instructions online. I highly recommend everybody go try it once.
Gonna go try that once. And so this actually is a good tie-in to the end. I need to do some research on how I'm gonna make some ice cream. So one thing I think it's important, especially now for the general public, is to kind of learn how to do your own research. Because there's a lot of people that just lie to you on the internet. Like, no way. Say it ain't so.
What I recommend is going to scholar.google.com. So this is Google for scientific research. This is what I use at work all the time. And not every journal is available for free, but there's a lot of free journals. So I'll walk you through a simple one, Leo.
Let me do this. So you can see what I'm doing. Everyone at home, if you want to see this, I'll make this part available somehow. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, so I typed in just microbiome and depression. And just click search like a normal Google search. And you can see that there's a few bits you can get to kind of guess which ones are actually really good research. You'll get the title and who wrote it and what year, but at the bottom it says cited by, and it gives you a number.
Yeah.
So that number means that on our top hit, yours is the same as mine, 371 other scientific articles have used information from this article.
Wow.
So that top one, unfortunately, is actually not open access. But if you go down a little ways, 1, 2, 3, the fourth one here, gut-brain axis, how the microbiome influences anxiety and depression, has been cited by 2,992 papers. If you click on the link to the right of that one, it will just take you to the paper. So it says PDF beside.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah. It just opens the
this
PDF.
This is a full shebang-a-bang.
Yeah. So that is a peer-reviewed paper that almost 3,000 other papers has referenced as being the source for their argument. This one is what we call a review. So it's somebody who has read hundreds of papers and tried to put all the information into one paper. For the general public, I would say reviews are the ones that would be the easiest for you to get information from. And scientific papers are set up in usually pretty much the same way. So this very top blurb looking thing is called an abstract. Sometimes it says abstract over top of it. That's like the blurb on the back of a book. So that should give you a little bit of background knowledge, their main findings, and their conclusion. On a research paper, this is just going to be basically a summary of the review paper because this isn't new research. And yeah, you can just go and read this paper.
Wow. So now you don't need to have some fuckwit on TikTok telling you.
Right.
You can go look it up for yourself.
So there should be an abstract and a conclusion or summary in every paper. The abstract will be at the very beginning, the conclusion will be at the end, and then the stuff in the middle should be an introduction with background information, their materials and methods, so how they did their research, and a discussion of what those results mean. The other thing that might be good for the general public to know is each of these papers is in a scientific journal. So that journal name should be at the top somewhere. If you go...
Cell Press?
So, yes, Cell Press. Somewhere it will tell you where this is actually published. If you go to just regular Google and type in Cell Press impact factor, the impact factor is how respected the journal is, what impact it has on the scientific community. Higher numbers are better. So Cell Press should give you their own journal metrics, I think is the second hit there. There's also different websites that you can just go to, but it will tell you what their impact factor is. So Cell Press actually has many different ones because they have many different journals that they publish.
Cell Press has gone down 22 to 23.
Yeah, but so anything above a 10 is quite good.
Oh.
If you get down to like a 5, that's probably a niche journal that not very many people read, but has peer review. If you get down into the 1s, that's when like kind of 1, 2. There have been an uptick in what we call predatory journals that will publish almost anything. So they have a very low impact factor, but all of the Cell ones are quite well respected. Like Cell itself is 45.5. That's really high.
Yeah.
What's Nature? Because Nature is like the place you want to. Nature has a 50. Nature and Science are the two you have really made it journals. Like, that is an accomplishment if you can publish there. But yeah, I think that's something that would help the general public do their own research.
Yeah.
Because I see people on podcasts and stuff that are citing scientific literature, but when you go and read it yourself, they're not being truthful. They're either stretching the truth or just lying about what the findings were.
So go find them for yourself. Wouldn't that be one of those ones where, like, if they're claiming to be citing a published article, then you could say, tell me which who it's published by, and then go look into the journal
and you
yourself.
could go look into it yourself. And like podcasts and newspaper articles and things probably aren't going to use ones behind paywalls because they aren't paying for them.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of really good research that's, we call it open source. I guess that's what computer people call it too.
Yes.
But you can actually pay extra to have your article be open source as well. Like, I have paid an extra fee. Publishing is actually quite expensive, which is a problem in itself in science. You have to pay thousands of dollars to have your article published. And open source tends to be an extra few $100. But it means that more people are going to read your research. True. And you'll probably get cited more. Some journals are completely open source. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, for anything really, Google Scholar is free and the open source articles are free. PeerJ is one that their whole thing is they are open source and they have a variety of topics that they publish.
Oh, let me do one more time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Hardshell Tacos, a Lux Media production. If you'd like to give your thoughts on what was discussed, you can text our anonymous line at 833-589-7637. If you're feeling courageous, leave a voice message, or you can send a voice note on WhatsApp, and we'll try to get you into the final cut of the show. 833-LUXPODS. If you prefer to hit us up on social media, the account name is LVXMediaNet, all one word. That's on YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, and all the rest of them. If you can't find us, chances are we're not on it. A lot of stuff gets cut from final releases, so if you want the raw audio, exactly as it's recorded, look us up on Patreon. LVX Media Net over there, just like everywhere else. Even if you don't subscribe on Patreon, you can still help us out a lot by giving the show a rating on whatever app you're listening on. You can also check out the other Lux Media Network shows. Intro music is by Middle of Nowhere Beats, and for more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lvxmedia.net. All right. All that outro shit goes there. Last thing, for the fun of it.
Fun.
How much were you into Linkin Park growing up?
Me? Not very much. I obviously know who they are. I'm the right age. I had friends who fucking loved them.
Yeah.
But
just their lead singer died a few years ago, and
right, they replaced him with a girl.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to show you, because I don't know if the regional lock will block you out of Japan for seeing this, but
I can't hear your video.
oh, damn it.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
is it just YouTube?
Yeah, it's at the top.
Oh, I accidentally did I close?
No.
Yeah, No, I didn't close it. He has more like the heavy metal growl to me. Yeah, I know this has been a real, like, controversy. I've seen it all over. I think she sounds good. I think she sounds... Nobody's going to sound the exact same.
Right. That's the point that a lot of people... Actually, the YouTube comments were being reasonable. Surprise, surprise.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they're like, everyone's saying like, hey, she's no one's gonna replace the original singer. That's just not possible. But she's not trying to replace him. They're trying to take the band in a new direction.
Yeah. Well, and she sounds good.
Yeah, she does. She can
Like,
it's in her wheelhouse, the way that the original music sounds.
the only one that the replacement I honestly have trouble telling the difference is AC/DC.
Do you have a difficulty with that one?
Telling the difference between the two singers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sound so different.
Do they? AC/DC, all the songs sound the same.
Oh, well, the song sounding the same is a different story, but the singers being different, they're definitely different.
Really? I'm not very good at this game.
All right, so do you want to do the last question on the doc?
What will I remember most from this session?
Yes.
Oh. I don't know. I guess that's a hard question because I was mostly teaching for a chunk of it.
Japanese 2.5.
Oh.
We got to get that number up a little bit.
Yeah. No, that you had an emo phase.
Is Linkin Park emo?
I don't know. I think so.
I
They're
do.
whiny.
They are true. They're whiny.
Oh, this is an off topic, but Offspring is touring with Simple Plan. Do you know Simple Plan? First of all, I think those two are way different bands.
I'm surprised they're touring together.
Yeah, they have been for a while. So I actually bought tickets for their show in 2021, and it got canceled because of a COVID resurgence. But they're going to be in Tokyo, and I found out about it maybe a week after tickets went on sale. Sold out. Absolutely gone.
Ask your promoter friend.
Yeah, maybe. I think he's just boxing, though. But, yeah. I don't know if I could handle a concert in Japan, to be honest. It might be too many people, and they seem more fanatical than the Canadian fans, probably.
The type that would go to an Offspring show, probably.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Osaka
Offspring
crowd.
in Canada is people singing along. Offspring in Japan is probably people dancing. But yeah, I was a little sad.
Well, do you have any other parting words? I probably shouldn't have this question on there.
Parting word?
Yeah, just as usual.
Eat your vegetables.
Eat parts of the sandwich if you do not want to make the sandwich.
It doesn't even have to be sandwiches. Honest to God, I really like raw potatoes, and sometimes I just eat raw potatoes.
What? That is a first.
My mom hates it. My mom hates it when she's like cooking potatoes for big meals and she's peeling them. I'll just come by and steal like a half a potato.
That is the first time I've
salt
ever
on
heard
it.
that.
They're delicious, man. And they're crunchy. My big thing is crunchy. I like crunchy things.
I don't know. Parting words. I don't have anything. I'm just gonna go into the millennial pantheon. Who are the people that we learned from? We learned from Steve Irwin. Be nice to animals. From Fred Rogers. Be nice to your neighbors. From
So Canada had Fred Penner.
Fred Penner. Who is that?
Yeah. So there were two children's shows in Canada that I really liked. There was Fred Penner and Mr. Dressup. So Fred Penner is a man with a guitar who sang songs in the woods. My favorite part of his whole show was the word bird. And it was a bird that would fly in with a piece of paper with a vocabulary word, and they would teach it to you.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was good. And Mr. Dressup had the tickle trunk, which was this magic trunk that held everything. So he would dress up.
Yeah.
And he had Muppets, kind of like Sesame Street. and he would teach you arts. He taught you a craft thing. He would tell you all the things you needed before the commercials, so you could run around your house and get a paper plate and a paper cup and a pen and a ruler and a pair of scissors. And like you'd run around during the commercials and you'd come back and do an art project together.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, they were great kid shows. CBC, I think, the Canadian Broadcasting Company.
Yeah. So we had Fred Rogers, Steve Irwin, LeVar Burton. Be curious and learn things. Yeah. And his
Wishbone.
I was gonna say his noble hound Wishbone. That it's okay to be silly and it's okay to have fun. And
we need them to remake Wishbone.
Oh.
As a society.
I would like very much if Wishbone came back. And last one, my favorite, is Bob Ross. It's okay to make mistakes. Be kind to yourself.
He was also a Marine, wasn't he?
He
or
was
just
in the
Army?
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yeah. It was Gene Hackman who was the Marine.
I want to add one more that maybe you don't know. Do you know the Kratz brothers from Kratz Creatures? Okay.
Kratz?
So
that sounds familiar.
When I was that age, like middle school, I guess, maybe elementary school, I rush home from school and watch Magic School Bus and Kratz Creatures. And if I was going to miss it for figure skating or something, my mom had to tape it.
Oh.
So everybody knows Magic School Bus, but not so many people know Kratz Creatures. But they then made Zaboomafoo, which is quite famous.
I know Zaboomafoo.
They did one for adults that was Be the Animal, where they would go and live near wild animals and try and understand their behavior. And now that they're old, because they're old now, they have an animated one that's Wild Kratz, I think is what it's called. So you could still have the Kratz brothers teach your children about animals. They're kind of like discount Steve Irwins, to be honest.
Zaboomafoo, I remembered. I remember the name Kratz Creatures. I never watched it, though.
Quite good.
But there you have it.
I have hundreds of VCR tapes that are a Magic School Bus episode, a Kratz Creatures episode, a Magic School Bus, a Kratz Creatures.
That's going to do it. That's it for this episode of Hard Shell Tacos. Go get yourself some tacos.
Have lots of fiber in them.
The song taking us out is Winter Fields by the artist City Girl. If you want to hear more, go to city.lvx.be to check out her Bandcamp.